Thank you, Hillary. So when we were developing our strategic plan and came up with that goal of ensuring that we could sustain our conservation gains over time, the real emphasis and focus area was on youth education. And many of you are probably aware of this. I still find it somewhat jaw-dropping that the average American child spends 4 hours a day in front of a television or a computer. And as a result, we're seeing declines in not only the number of kids who are taking up fishing as a pastime, but we're seeing increases in childhood obesity and other health issues associated with that problem. So to combat that trend, Franklin Tate, our new Youth Education Program Director, and his staff are putting a real strong emphasis on youth education and on training that next generation of conservation stewards. This year we had a remarkable, I'm fairly certain this is a record, 17 state councils host either one or several youth camps in their states. I had the benefit of participating in a few of those, and I can tell you they are remarkably invigorating experiences. Our new Stream Explorers program is at 1,000 and needs to continue to grow, and it will with your help. And our flagship Trout in the Classroom program, we're now in well more than 500 classrooms across the country, servicing an incredible 24,000. Someday it'll be 240,000, but 24,000 children. Again, in terms of capacity building, one of the most important things we do in this organization is we underpin all of our work with really good scientific information. And TU's Conservation Success Index provides that peer-reviewed and technical and scientific foundation for all of our conservation work. Jack Williams and Amy Hawk and their staff have developed analyses of 26 separate species and subspecies of trout and salmon to help us identify the places that we ought to be focusing on to protect and where we'll see the highest return on our restoration investment. And equally important, organizations such as the Nature Conservancy, the United States Geological Survey, the Bureau of Land Management, the largest federal land manager in the country, and NOAA are all using and helping to fund the Conservation Success Index today. Other state and federal agencies and the land trust community are also increasingly using our science to inform their own priorities. And that is really important. Because the fact is, even if we grow this organization to 250,000 members, which we should, we'll still not have anywhere near the capacity needed to achieve that vision statement that I described earlier. So having other organizations adopt our work, our priorities as their vision, makes that a lot more likely. Now, as you may have heard, it's been challenging working with Congress and getting through things through Congress this year. Largely because of partisan politics and the upcoming elections, our agenda has been slowed on Capitol Hill. But that's not to say that there hasn't been significant progress made. Steve Moyer and his staff are some of the best at working the Hill, and we've seen good success in the House, for example, on moving forward a bill that would help lead to the protection of many areas in the Chesapeake Bay and provide funding for restoration. We've seen oil and gas exemptions removed for the Safe Drinking Water Act and the Clean Water Act under bills that are being considered in the House. And importantly, we've been successful in advancing the notion that we ought to be using the Land and Water Conservation Fund to help secure voluntary access for anglers. So a lot of our priorities are being talked about and discussed and moving forward through one body or another. We haven't been able to bring anything to the finish line yet, but we will. And when we do, tackle issues like coming up with a comprehensive energy bill and addressing climate change and restoring the Clean Water Act, it will be because of you. It is, no matter how good our legislative affairs staff are, the people that members of Congress listen to are the people in this room. You can take one paid hack like myself, well, you could take 10 paid hacks like myself, and we're worth one of you taking the time to come in to Washington, D.C. to talk to one of your members of Congress, to otherwise contact them in district, or to respond to one of our action alerts. And you've all done an amazing job at that this year. This year we had over 30 action alerts that went out, and the response was overwhelming. So thank you for that good work. Few new programs are more noteworthy than our Veteran Service Partnership, which we've just created this year, Our intention is to help our chapters to work with organizations such as Project Healing Water to dramatically increase our involvement in helping returning servicemen and women to heal through fly fishing and conservation-related activities. Now, internal communications, I have found in my 9 years at TU, is always a challenge in a volunteer-led, decentralized organization. But Brian Moore and Beverly Davis and all of the volunteer operations staff have done tremendous work, I think, to keep everyone informed and aware of the opportunities. For example, without fail this year, Lines to Leaders went out on the first of every month. We have a quarterly newsletter that's chock full of information that's sent out to all of our members as well. We've got some great trainings every month that are available on our Leaders Only section if you're not able to actually attend the trainings in person or on the telephone. And we've put a really big investment on working with a lot of these new social medium, social networking sites out there. Our Facebook page has, I think it's about 7,200 fans. We have a Trout Unlimited YouTube channel with a bevy of videos on that describe a lot of your good conservation projects in the field. We have a blog associated with Trout Magazine that's quite active. And we even have a Twitter account. So we're making a big investment in a lot of these new forms of communication to try to reach an ever-expanding and younger audience. And then finally, this year we released a new bulk email tool that allows council chairs and chapter presidents to send action alerts and emails to their lists without running afoul of the spam authorities that are out there. Trout Magazine, which is much beloved by everyone, continues its run of excellence. This year we accepted the Gold Award for Design Excellence at the annual Association Media and Publishing Excel Awards. And the panel of judges that selected TU from over 1,000 entrants in the 100,000 subscriber plus category had this to say about the magazine. This publication exemplifies the idea that magazines are pleasure vehicles. It's inviting from its cover to the photography and its use of fonts and the layout. TU's Trout Magazine's consistent coverage of fracking and Marcellus shale development led to one interesting series of exchanges between Steve Kinsella, our editor who puts this together, and a Madison Avenue ad agency who had notified Steve that we were one of their target publications and wanted to know if we would be open to receiving oil and gas advertising. Steve politely declined the offer. We want the revenues, Hillary, but not that bad. Our TV show On the Rise is entering its third year with a new host this year, Jeb Feeblecorn, who's a deeply committed and passionate TU advocate, and Erin Mooney continues to ensure that the show is highly entertaining and very well put together. This year we had a resurgence of regional meetings. The New England and Northeast councils had a meeting. The Southeast folks had theirs, and the Rocky Mountain Stakes had a regional meeting. I had the pleasure of attending several of these. I will say that the Rocky Mountain Council meeting was really effective and I think very productive, in large part because of the fine spring weather that we enjoyed in Montana that year. Amanda Heidke, who is here today, and I think you'll be hearing some more from tomorrow, has been really working hard on building a new social networking website for fly anglers. It will allow users to self-select their own home waters, to download a ton of interesting and useful fishing and conservation-related information, and to communicate with anglers who have similar interests in their area. This has transformative potential for TU, and it's not an option of us doing it, it's an absolute that we will do it. And it's vital that we figure out this way and other better ways to use the web to engage more members in the organization.